Christos Voskres. The encounter between Jesus, a man from Judea, and the woman from Samaria is the longest account of any conversation between Jesus and any woman. The narrative is rather long. It takes up most of chapter 4 of this gospel. Throughout, it hints at an expanding mission, that is, the mission beyond Israel. The missionary theme is here strongly present. The dialogue between Jesus and the woman is framed by two passages. One sets the scene at the beginning by explaining how Jesus comes to be there, that is, at the well. And the other concludes with the reaction of various characters to Jesus. Jesus' reactions are also recorded, foreshadowing success in that many Samaritans come to faith. The dialogue contains two distinct moments. The first centers around Jesus' enigmatic offer of living water, while the second topic is worship, within which the interconnected themes of truth about Jesus and the woman herself are included. In this way, we are led into deep reflection upon the Johannine mission, or the Johannine theology of mission. In what follows, I will focus mainly upon Jesus as living water. It must be said, first of all, that in the Old Testament, the well was a frequent meeting place for a young man to find his bride. As an Australian biblical scholar describes it, boy meets girl at the well. It is in this spirit that we find that Rebecca was found at a well. So Jacob met Rachel, and Moses Zipporah at wells. There is an expectation of betrothal in this text. But marriage is also the great symbol of God's covenant with the people of Israel. This covenant is a spiritual marriage. So we have the background of the wooing scenes. Jesus is said by some commentators to come to woo in the person of this woman a people, namely the Samaritans, beyond the confines of Israel. So Jesus is stepping out. The point made in John's Gospel is to transcend these type scenes rather than suggest some kind of symbolic marriage. The theology of John, as I've said, is essentially missionary with regard to those outside of Israel. When Jesus asks for a drink, he crosses two barriers. One is a gender barrier. He, a lone male, requests a favour of her, a lone woman. The other is ethnic. He, a Jew, crosses the standoff between Jews and Samaritans. Things come to a climax when Jesus, after the discussion of living water, instructs her to bring her husband along. The 5 husbands are often interpreted as a symbolic representation of the history of Samaria. After the fall of the northern kingdom, with the influx of 5 foreign nations, each with its own god, But really, simply the passage indicates Jesus' knowledge and compassion for her difficult life. In conclusion, this is a story of growth in faith. The woman moves from incomprehension of Jesus when he speaks of water. She has no notion of anything more than water. She does not reject the word of Jesus and his living faith. She just simply doesn't get it. She's initially unable to enter into his world. In the end, her focus moves from water to the person of Jesus, and so the Spirit of God. Pictorial art represents the well as a baptismal font. It's often seen that way in our icons. The mystery of baptism, of course, shares the living water of the Spirit and the presence of God with us. So there we have at least a first point that must be made from this rich story. The language of signs is paramount to Christian understanding and faith. Christos Voskres.